Today we're going to discuss Bartleby, the scrivener. Is a short story book that I don't know.
It's
it
not
has so
that
many
short.
opinions.
It's not that short for me.
It's not that short for you. Okay.
No, but we do have many opinions. Hopefully, you do too. Did you read the whole book?
Did you?
I did. I hardly did. I did. Okay, we have new people. Glad to see that. If you can change your name, Jay, because that sounds very mysterious to me.
Yeah, are you Jose? Are you Jesus?
Juan.
Jonathan. What's your name, Jay?
Okay.
Jonathan is a nice name.
Yeah, but I don't like
It,
right now.
it could be like even the name for a band, like John and the Cans.
No.
No. Don't you agree?
No.
Well,
Let's start.
okay.
Two.
Okay, can you repeat?
I would prefer not to change the name.
Okay. You
Okay.
prefer not to change it. That's awesome.
Oh my goodness. Oh no.
Okay, we're going to read the list of rules as we do in every session. The first one is that this book club is completely English flexible, which means that you can try to use English as much as you can, but you can also use Spanish if you need to express an idea or maybe even finish an argument. Try to start the interventions in English because the whole idea of this program is for you to use it, for you to practice,
And for us to practice. We don't practice very much. We usually speak Spanish. So
Yeah, actually, but it's so cool to use English like often. It's awesome. You should do that too. Everyone's opinion counts. Even though you might be right, you can always be wrong. Just so you know, I will determine that. And also, we are going to always try to begin the meetings properly and try to end no later than 30 because we have other things to do. We always appreciate the time that you use to be here with us, so we are always conscious about that. And for the people that is here with us, in this case, Ismael, we are going to meet him later. The library must be clean and ready for the next days to use. So now let's get to know each other. So let's start with the people in the Zoom chat. Jay, if you want to begin, or you prefer not to, you can always tell me.
hopefully you will. Jay, can you use your microphone to introduce yourself?
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's because I love the phrase. I would prefer not to.
Me too. That's gonna be our new phrase. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So what do I have to do?
Okay, introduce yourself.
Oh,
yeah.
my name is Jose, but I don't know how to change it. I don't want to leave the meeting to change it again. So
That's okay. No worries.
that's why I would prefer not to change it.
Okay, that's okay.
Destination.
Yeah.
Are
there things?
Why is it the name destinations?
Oh, because I found it really interesting. I was using a template about traveling and stuff. So it was cool, like to, even though we are here being adults and working and progressing and trying to evolve in life, like even though they are destinations for us, the question is still like, are there things you prefer not to do?
Yeah, like
the
in
whole
your
journey.
work, for
In
example.
the journey, yeah.
Oh, I hate doing presentations, doing drawings. I still draw as if I were in kindergarten.
Okay.
So it's quite difficult.
Okay.
To buy clothes, I hate that. Many other things.
Okay, good. Now, what is your goal with your English?
No, I learn English in order to know English
Okay.
because it's useful for speaking, to the job, to understand books. And
Okay, studying English just because. I like it. Okay, and how do you think you're gonna be able to get it done? I don't know. What else do you do to practice English, like besides this book club?
I watch YouTube, I watch movies, I love to check words, to look up
We should
words
do
in the dictionary, but it is a job that never ends.
Okay,
So
yes,
I
It's a job that
read
never ends.
that is
this
true.
book, and there were many words that I didn't know. So
Yes, I
I
totally agree.
it
I
will
like to
never
listen.
end looking up words in the dictionary. So,
Yeah.
Okay, good, excellent. So let's go with Roosevelt. Hello, Roosevelt. Can you use your microphone? Okay,
Okay.
and she can't.
I think she can.
Yes, we also have a couple of people who are trying to connect, but they connect and disconnect. So we are going to continue.
Isma, do you
Meanwhile-
want to introduce yourself?
Hello, how are you doing today? My name is Ismael. And, well, things that I would prefer not to do. Homework. Usually.
Okay, excellent.
Usually I would not prefer to do homework. Yes. What is your goal
Go with English.
with English? I think to gain more confidence, because I feel like I have a good level of English, but I sometimes
Like
struggle.
imposter syndrome
Yeah.
kind of situation.
I struggle, yeah, totally, and I think it's because of my personality. Maybe I'm very shy, but I try to.
But you are not completely like an
Not
introvert.
really. It's a little bit like ambivert, maybe.
Ambivert is that
Yeah.
a word?
Yes, actually, most people are ambiverts.
Yeah.
Like introverts and extroverts are a minority. There are not so many people.
That's who you are.
That's like most of us are.
Yes.
I just
you
saw a
are
podcast about it.
No, I think you are an extrovert. I would say.
I might be not.
I might be not.
Hi Ruby, nice to meet you. Well, I know you already, but nice to see you again here. Can you hear as well?
Hi, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Well, we are actually doing the presentation, so you can introduce yourself already.
Okay, hi, my name is Bob. I am Ruby. Are there things you would prefer not to? I think I prefer not to cook.
Okay.
To
my
cook? Yeah.
Okay.
To
It
cook.
takes a lot of time, I know.
Planning, what is your goal with studying English? Well, my goal is to learn. Is I am I think I am trying to learn English about 5 years.
Okay.
I think I am able to read in English, but I am not able to put myself together and have a fluent conversation. And I think this is the goal, to speak fluently.
And you do it actually very
And
well.
Yes. And number 4, like what else do you do to practice your English besides this book club?
I practice with Duolingo every day. Every day.
Okay. How long is your racha?
I was going to ask this now.
But my racha today is 580. 580.
Okay.
Do you know you have restaurants where they offer you something because you have a long racha? I don't know how to say racha by the way.
Strike, maybe?
Yes.
It's a lot. I was very proud. I have 39 days of racha. 39. Okay, perfect.
What? Okay.
Okay.
How
Okay.
Okay, now, well, I know you know us already, but we can also introduce ourselves again. So now it is our turn. Hi.
That is us.
That's a picture of us that I found, and it's very pretty. I didn't know we had that picture taken. Yeah, it was like last year, I think.
Yeah, I think last
I
year.
mean, Diana was blonde in the picture. She looks
Yeah,
blonde in the
my
picture.
hair has grown. I'm still half blonde, but my hair has grown.
Yeah. So, well, I'm Ricardo Arazo. I'm the Education USA assistant here in the Sector Venezolano Americano. And I love to read. I always try to practice not only by reading, but by listening to podcasts or maybe when watching some series through Netflix or whatever. And also, I always try to practice, but that's like with Diana here present, porque we always do this. We always end up speaking Spanish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most of the time, yeah.
And most of the time we don't even finish the sentences. It's like, can you do? Yeah. So it's more like a non-verbal Spanglish. Yeah.
It works. That's
But it
the
works.
important part. It works.
We understand each other.
Okay, so my name is Diana. I'm the Education USA advisor. I'm scared to ask you what things you'd rather not to do because it would be a long list.
Okay,
At
that
least in
was
my
perfect.
job,
It hurts.
I think I'd rather not to take so many pictures. Sometimes we have to take lots of pictures and I don't like it. What else? What was the other thing? I usually practice English by listening to podcasts also, but the difference is I listen to them in speed one, like normal people do. He usually doubles the speed. Just
Why aren't
like
you
us.
just attacking me today? Like, why does it
It's
feel
not,
so
it's
personal?
not an attack, but he listens to podcasts like very, very fast. If you talk to me in Spanish at that speed, I will probably won't understand half of what you say. But
There's no time to lose.
I listen to podcasts of science, of scientists, and sometimes the language is a little bit difficult. Speed one is more than enough, and sometimes I have to go back to like imagine what they are saying. So yeah, basically that. And what you already know, Education USA. Education USA can help you with your dream of studying in the USA. We help you finding a university for you that is right for you. We help you like planning the money and doing all the application, the exams, and everything. So that is what we do. And this is a step zero, so we can help you practicing your English. We have Rosabel back, so I would like her to introduce herself.
Rosibel,
So,
do
can
you
you
hear
hear me?
us? Do you hear us well? Can you use the microphone? Is your internet connection now okay?
I think she cannot use her microphone,
I think so.
but we know your name at least.
Let's send you a message.
Yes. Okay, is there any more?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about a bit of Herman Melville. Okay, her connection is very bad. Okay.
Venezuelan situation, we understand.
We
No
understand.
problem.
Okay, so Herman Melville, he was a towering figure in American literature, best known for his epic novel Moby Dick.
Have you read Moby Dick, guys? It's very long, but it's more famous. I don't know.
Have you read it?
Do you want to read it?
I actually have like the intention once to read Moby Dick in my life, but then I remember it was about ballenas, and then I was like, do I actually want to know about ballenas?
But I think it's not so much about the whale, but about like fighting and looking for something that you cannot achieve. So
But there's
the
some.
whale is just a mean to get to that idea.
Did you watch the movie The Whale about the big person?
Yeah.
Okay, and have you watched a K-drama? It's a Korean show that is about a lawyer that
Yeah.
has,
I did.
yeah, and she is like obsessed with wheels because she read Moby Dick.
Are you scared you're gonna be obsessed with what?
No, I'm scared I'm going to look like that person.
Okay, that is very strange, but well, our author today is better known for Moby Dick, which is the most famous work of this person. And well, he has experience as a sailor, so he used that experience to write this novel. And this one in particular, Bartleby, this scrivener, okay. At the beginning, it was published anonymously, so at the beginning they didn't receive a lot of. Nobody
Ratings,
cared.
yeah.
Nobody cared.
Most people was like,
But
okay.
yeah, but with time, they have found many things in this work. So that is very interesting. They say this is like the beginning of existentialism and that literature, and they say they see things in this work that is before Kafka, and so a lot of things that I think someday at some point I have to read it again. Maybe, I don't know. I don't promise anything.
Yeah, actually, Melville's work often explore complex themes, and we have noticed that in this book, that even though it was short or very long for some people, um, we know that he wanted to express not only the dark aspect of human psychology related to what we do in the continuing of life, you know, like we do every day, we go to work, we try to struggle with what we do, we want to achieve even, but at the same time, it's like always pondering the question, what else is there?
Yeah, sometimes we have to do things we'd rather not.
Sometimes we have to do things we prefer not to.
That is the thing on our mind.
So now that we have talked about the other
The
a little bit,
context.
yeah, we are here situated because we have read the same book. Now let's dive into it, and we hope you actually read it until the end. And if you haven't, well, you can always come back to it. I know that it was very difficult with some words. It has a very strange vocabulary. I know it might be related because it was a very early book. I mean, it was published, I don't know, in 1918,
No, 18.
18 something.
Because I didn't have the year here. But yes, it is a very old book.
Yeah, it is a
Well,
very
but
old
it is
book.
that it's the 19th century. So
Yeah.
it's the 18 something in years. So,
Yeah, exactly.
so you tell us, what do you think motivates Bartleby's famous phrase? Why do you think he says that?
I prefer not to.
I'd rather not to. I rather, well, it was preferred, right? Yeah, it was preferred. It is said like 19 times
Yes.
in only one paragraph, and I read the wrong, the wrong phrase. Okay, yeah, I prefer not to. Why do you think he used this phrase?
For me, so catchy. I mean, I want to use it. Actually, I would prefer not to be here today.
Yes, but beyond that, why do you think he didn't want to do things?
Yeah.
That is the question. No.
Jose wants to say something.
Yes, tell us, Jose.
Well, I think in some ways related to his former job. Maybe he was only used to read, so he didn't want to talk.
Okay.
And that's why he was very formal.
Okay, he
So
just didn't want
that
to.
answer I would refer to because it's the formal way to say it. That's what I think.
Okay.
Okay, he didn't want to, but why? Do you have any idea why he didn't want to?
I mean, I think personally that maybe he was in a very depressed situation, or maybe he was even upset about something related to work. But
Okay.
as the story continued, I was like, he just doesn't
didn't want to do, I mean, he didn't do anything. He didn't leave the office, he didn't eat anything else, he just didn't do anything. So I don't know if it was depression or I don't know if he was just like, I don't know, wondering why he had to do so. Or why do you think he didn't want to do anything, Miss Maya?
Honestly, I didn't stop to think about that. I was just frustrated with him.
You were
So-
like the boss.
Yes, I was like, why? So I didn't stop to think about it, but maybe I would say that since the topic is about existentialism, maybe he simply didn't want to exist. No, he simply wanted to exist without doing anything else. And his reason for that, maybe it was because he got tired of working or doing things.
Okay. Well, that can happen to any of us. Like we
Yeah.
get tired. I don't want to do anything. I want to
The
vacation.
burnout syndrome.
But
Yeah.
Maybe he was feeling burnout.
Could
But
be.
usually that doesn't last that much.
Yes.
Or I don't know. I guess you wake up one day after a couple of weeks on vacation and you want to do anything, like anything, just go out, like just walk. But this didn't happen. So here we have. Do you find his action frustrating, intriguing, or both? Obviously, Ismail is very frustrated.
Yes.
He's not as empathic as his boss.
No.
Okay.
He had a very good boss. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
He
Yes.
easily could have gotten fired.
Yeah.
We got a lot of Bartleby, but what do you think of the boss? You tell us. Yes, Rosita.
Yes, Rosico.
Maybe he was a little sad or depressed. I don't know
Yeah.
in the context. He was fierce, was disciplined, correct in her job, in his job,
Yeah.
but it's strange that he in behavior
Right.
it was rare. Yes.
Yeah, it was
Sorry.
strange. His behavior was very strange. I found it intriguing. Is that the correct word?
Intriguing.
Intriguing. I found it intriguing, not frustrating, but I don't know. He found it. How did you find it?
I think it was weird.
Weird.
Simply weird.
Simply weird.
Because of course for me is different. I mean I'm reading the book from a point of view of a person, of a current person, you know. I'm 24 years old, I work here in a company, I'm very used to doing things away, and obviously if my boss tells me to do something, I cannot just tell her I prefer not to. And like seeing it is like, okay, but this is also something that I might always consider as an answer. I mean, if I'm struggling or if I feel, I don't know, maybe not completely into it, or I don't know if I feel not motivated enough, I can easily say I'd rather not to today, or insert here a keyword that can also make the expression less passive aggressive. Even though I tend to be passive aggressive, but in work situations, okay, you're my friend, you're supposed to say that. In these kind of work situations, I mean, that's an option, you know. Maybe at first for me it was like, okay, he's being honest, but why he's not feeling completely involved?
I agree that it's interesting to see that it is an option. Maybe at work we have to do because we are getting paid. But in
And
life,
we would like to gain money.
yeah, but in life in general, I mean, it's good to remember that we have the freedom of not choosing what is expected. So one way of this is saying, I prefer not to. Like, I know I'm supposed to want to do this, but I don't really want to. So
Yeah, because at the end of the day, everyone everyone should have like a job description. And sometimes we need to do stuff that are not completely related to our job description.
But we don't have a personality description, so we can do
Exactly.
differently
So
outside work.
we can always choose to do some things voluntarily, but some things may not be completely voluntary for us, and
Yeah.
we should think about that too.
Yes. Talking about like different situations, and well, it is not a secret that the workplace, like a couple of hundred of years ago, was very different to nowadays. So, do you think the characters represent the nature of work back then, in the 19th century, and
Yeah,
how?
like working in the past was completely different, but how can we?
Yeah. How do you think it was working in the 19th century, like working in a factory, working as a scrivener? A scrivener. I'm gonna learn that word. I read it many times, but I didn't say it. So, how do you think was working back then? Different from nowadays. It was worse. Was it better?
I think they work many hours. That's the main difference. The conditions were terrible. But that's not the case for criminals or lawyers.
Yeah.
It was different. The work they do was they did is some way very similar to what they do now. It's about reading and writing documents. And now it's easier because they can copy and paste and use AI.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
actually.
nature is simple.
Yeah, I think now Bartleby's work would be done by a secretary, like copy paste and send this, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it would be a lot easier. But I guess back in those times, the conditions were not so good because I guess I want you to do this work and I'm going to pay you. So if you are willing to deal with these conditions, so maybe the room is very hot, or maybe the space is not very safe, or maybe you don't have enough time to eat, and right now we have laws against working in conditions that are not ideal, like something like you don't have enough, you don't have water in your workplace. Well, that is a reason to go to, but in the past it was
I think actually from the time, well, I didn't live in that time.
Yes.
I'm living right now. I'm living the present. But I think maybe back then it was kind of a ride or die situation. I mean, most people needed to go to work in order to live, you know. And now we are trying to actually exercise the other way around. We're trying to live. Okay.
We're trying.
Yeah, we're trying, especially here, but most people are focused on living for work. Like, we need to get things done, we need to make new projects, we need to be ambitious, you know. Like, in the other time, it was the reverse situation. People went to work so they could have a better life. And they will focus on their family, and they will be focused on maybe always having food on the table, you know. And now people can completely choose, maybe. Like,
And do you
if I
think-
want to work, then I will do so, and if I don't, then I don't have to. I can be completely anomalous.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What is
Depends
the
on the
policy?
country.
It depends on the country. Yeah.
It depends on the country, of course. It depends on how much you
Yeah.
gain, what's your
Yes.
income.
But I am thinking, do you think those people were grateful for their jobs?
Ooh, that's a very interesting question. What do you think?
I
Isma?
don't
Do you think
know,
it was very
because-
different? Do you think it was?
If you're living because of that work and you knew people who were not doing well, I guess people really did whatever in their job place, because in their workplace, because they were like, I'm eating because of this, and they didn't have many
actually,
hard.
yeah, and you have to remember that maybe back then it was only something available to men.
Could be.
Yes.
So-
But for women, the work was to marry someone with a job.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yes.
I
That's
don't
it.
know if
Guys, do you like your work?
do you like your current job?
Do you like your current job?
Would you prefer not to do it?
Your boys are not in here, you can be honest. You only have your first name, and Jose Ruby can be any person.
Do you like your job, Diana? Or you prefer not to answer?
I would prefer not.
I think it's part of my job.
Yes.
But it's difficult to like the boss. Always there's not going to be problem with your bosses.
That tends to be a situation that's very common. I'm very grateful to say that it doesn't happen to me.
Yeah, it happened to us.
It doesn't happen with us. I mean, we actually like.
We have been lucky.
Yeah, we have been lucky. We actually get together very well. We blend together
Yeah.
very well, and it's very strange because we have very different personalities at the same time.
Yeah.
But we don't actually collide between each other. But yeah, that's a very common case. Most people don't engage with their bosses.
Yeah.
Or with their jobs in general, like things do not work in there. How they expect me to do this if they do that? In here, it's kind of frustrating that I cannot complain with my other friends from other companies because they have like these stories to tell about
Yeah,
crazy things
they're
that happen,
always
and I'm like,
worse. It's like,
do you
okay,
work
it wasn't
like
a
that?
competition.
do you work like that? Really?
Yeah.
And yeah.
We can say something
Yeah.
like, oh, they didn't pay me today.
But
And they will be like, oh, they haven't paid me in a month. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but I wasn't competing with you.
Okay, what Marcelo said, yeah, I was about to say, no, it was like 10 minutes ago. You're not telling us if you like your job or no. Do you like your job? Do you work?
Ismael, do you work? Ruby wants to say something.
I think it's depending the day of you
Okay.
asking that question. It depends.
Depends.
Today I like my job.
Today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Today's payday. So we like our job, today's payday. Okay, did you work?
Yes. But I'm freelance, like I think
You're your own boss. Do you like your boss?
Exactly. I know myself. Yes.
Okay. Good. You're good to you.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not so good to be your own boss because you like expect a lot more than other people.
Yeah.
Roddy will tell us.
Okay, well, I like my job. Sorry, I am a doctor, I am a surgeon. My passion is that. I prefer always do surgeries.
Okay.
I like, but
Okay.
I understand that many occupations didn't satisfactory
Yes.
for
Many jobs
other
are not
people.
satisfactory, are not rewarding. Your job is very rewarding. When you see someone that was very sick and now is feeling better, of course you like it. And half your patients are like sleeping while you are working, so that is easier. That makes things easier, I guess.
Yeah, but she has to do the work.
I know.
The patient might be sleeping, but she's not.
I know. But I mean, anyone who has worked with clients would rather have sleeping clients.
Yes.
Okay, I think we need to continue because this is something that is getting recorded and we might be publishing later. So
I didn't say anything bad, but I've never worked with public. We do work with students, but it's like one at a time, and they are usually brilliant students with grades and with a lot of activities.
and very energetic. It's like,
Yeah.
boy, could you just take a nap?
But
You
I
have so
heard,
much more energy than I do, and I
But,
have been
yeah.
away from
No, but I
saying
have heard people that has to work with the public every day, and they are very exhausted, and at some point they don't want people.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I don't want to talk to no one.
You
I
don't
understand.
work with a lot of public. Yeah, once in a while we work with a lot of
You know
students.
what
and-
impresses me?
Yeah, what?
We don't get tired of each other. Actually, yeah, we kind of do. But it's like we can have, I don't know, only one day without seeing each other and we'll be
We
okay.
will recover.
Yeah, but like this year
Yeah.
we both took our vacation days off,
Mm.
and she took her first, and then I took mine. When I was alone in the office at this third day or something like that, I was like, Diana, can you just tell me what you're doing? And I was like texting her
It
through
was
WhatsApp.
it was like among his vacation and mine, so it was a very
It was a very long time, and we are very blessed and lucky that most people come by to the office and they sometimes try to hang out or to have a conversation with us while we're doing our work, and we can be, I don't know, drinking a cup of coffee with them and so on, because we try to always be there, present and available for the students and people that need to ask questions or they are
people that
lacking
see
some
at
orientation.
CVA,
Yeah, and they always come back. But some days are days that you know people won't be coming back. You know, so it's like you only there present with
And
spirits
contribute.
alongside. Yeah.
Okay, so about the book, guys. Okay, what does the story suggest about the nature of work? Okay, it's change. Its purpose and its meaning in a rapidly industrializing society. So, how do you think work has changed in this society? Because now we're not talking exactly about the industrial the revolution. Now we are seeing other changes. So, how do you think the nature of work is changing? How do you think?
Home office, for example.
Home office, yes.
Totally.
I don't know if I love that, but I would like to
Me too.
try it again.
Mm.
I actually would love, like it's something that I actually feel like my body is needing to be completely remote. Like I will be okay with coming by to the office some days a week, but I know that sometimes I just need to like be, I don't know if the word would be gentle, but maybe even take slower mornings and do not feel the pressure of going to work and be there and do things and feel productive and proactive and whatever. Because at the end of the day, what is important, at least for me, from my point of view, it is to get the things done. You know. So if I finish what I need to get done during the day, it doesn't matter if it takes me 15 minutes or if it takes me, I don't know, 2 hours.
Okay, so what in my how do you think the nature of work is changing? Do you think more people will be home office?
I think that no. I think that while we were in during the pandemic and we were at that time,
It was
of course,
eye-opening, the pandemic.
yes, it was. But well, we had a lot of jobs that turned to home office jobs. But since the pandemic ended, or at least that period of time where we stayed at home ended, jobs are going back to the presential nature, and I think that is a little bit better, honestly, because even though, as you said, it is rewarding to have home office and to have the slower mornings and maybe do things at your own pace in the comfort of your home, sometimes it can feel a little bit not restricting, maybe claustrophobic, to always be at home and never leave home.
Yeah, but that's why there are new places like coffee shops that
Yeah,
have
true.
like co-working spaces.
True.
And I'm not talking like to have a complete remote job. I think that would be the death of me. but because I'm a social person.
Yes.
But I would like to, I don't know, maybe to always have the opportunity
Okay.
that to know it is flexible. You
Yeah.
know that I can come here today, but maybe tomorrow I don't feel like coming to the office, and that's okay because people will know I will get things done
Yeah.
my way, my time, and that I'm still working and I'm still available, just not like in the location.
I think-
I think it depends on the job because
It's true.
sometimes it is a lot easier to communicate, especially in creative work that you have to have like ideas. It is not the same in Zoom, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a 100% remote work just because that would allow me to be in any part of the world. I like that
Okay.
part. But if I stayed in one city, in my home, I would rather go to my workplace a couple of days a week just to like be all in the same page.
I would hope that we are going in that direction as a society. It would be nice to have that.
Hopefully
yeah.
we're going in the direction of having less working hours.
Yes.
Less
Hopefully.
working hours.
Or working
Less
days.
working hours, more time to sleep. I do want it.
Guys,
Actually, can I
interrupt
also
us.
have I want more money.
Guys, interrupting. So you can raise your hand or you can write.
Yeah, Louis, what do you want to say? What is your opinion on all of this? Louis is loving her job today, so maybe she has an opinion for us.
Yeah, optimistic thing to say. No?
No, I am not optimistic. I think it's definitely the job because if the job is very boring and repetitive. I think workers cannot think or be creative. Yes.
Yes.
And this can be the human needs. La palabra que está aquí de
Dehumanizing.
¿cómo se dice?
Yeah, dehumanizing.
Dehumanizing, yeah.
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 It's
there.
We know it's very difficult. We know.
We're going to try to use shorter words. Make it less human.
Make it less human, yeah.
But I think, okay, it's work inherent in fulfilling is what is fulfilling is that he has a purpose.
Fulfilling
That
is
is
like
fulfilling.
rewarding, that makes you feel satisfied with
Yes.
what you are doing. That is
Yeah.
fulfilling.
Yes.
What do you feel normally during the first week of work?
Okay, now depends on the work. What do you do for work, Ruby?
I work freelancer. I am a geophysics engineer, and I am in the part of that data science. I think this is the correct word of my job.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to say
But
something.
I like because I like investigation. I like the numbers. I like to do calculation. And
Why?
I have my own schedule.
Okay, girl, why? Why do you like to do with numbers? Why do you find?
Because
Why?
when she has a project accepted and it's a project that will eventually help mankind, that is fulfilling. She's working humanity. We are moving forward thanks to people like Ruby.
Okay, but she does it with
I
numbers.
wanna go to space, so let her work. Okay, perfect. So I put this question. I like this question because I like it. Like, is work? I know this word horrible. We have to rewrite this. Is work make you feel satisfied or make you less human? I don't know. Like a couple of months ago, someone told me, yeah, you have to get a job to be happy. Like, do you think what
the
is
job is
doing
not making me happy.
what is doing work to us? Do you think it makes us, it is driving us and like it motivates us to live, or do you think it makes us less human and less worried about the things we should care? What do you think working in general do to us?
I think it depends on the context and the person.
Uh-huh.
Louis, Jose, what do you think?
Well, it depends on the type of job.
Yeah.
For example, a garbage collector is a terrible job, and they have to do it every day. If they don't do it, people start complaining.
Yeah.
So, it's terrible, and the payment is even more terrible. So there is no way to stay motivated about that.
I see.
Okay, I know people working in that, the pay is not so bad. Okay, but yes, like for one part, sometimes if you do not work, let's say you have everything solved in your life, there's like a lack of motivation sometimes to get something. So if we want to work that is important, that if we want to do like what Ruby does or something, we know we have to put a lot of effort
I
in
don't want
that.
to do what Louis does.
But if we don't have like any need of money, any need of anything, I don't know. What would you do? Like if you really will find another motivation and become a great artist or scientist or anything, or no? I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe it depends on the person. And less human, I don't think so unless you're obsessed with work and you have it like your number one priority and maybe the most important thing in your life. In that moment,
Sure.
you can stop worrying about the things that makes you like a happy human being, like relationships and friendships and like
But at the end of
hobbies.
the day, doesn't like getting a job help us to gain or to have a better relationship with our independence? Like to by knowing that we work and that we gain our own money and that what we do
And
with our
we are
time
being useful.
and that we are being useful, we start to also change perspective of who we are as a person
Yeah.
and our impact in the collective. And at the same time, it's like, okay, since I have been working full time now during the whole month, then maybe I can give myself the opportunity to eat that cheesecake, to go during the whole weekend to beach, or maybe I don't know, travel to Spain or
Yeah.
wherever.
Yeah.
Like it gives us independence because we know that we are getting something in return through the time that we're putting into work.
And if extra what you are doing makes you feel useful, like we are helping students who are going to their dream university, for example, and Rubini is helping. I don't know what that you do exactly, but I'm pretty sure you're doing.
You just told her and she forgot.
No, I didn't forget. I know that she's an engineer, but she can work in many different projects with what she studied. That is why. But it's Roosevelt is making someone feel better, so that is also an extra thing. So you're getting money, but you're also getting another type of reward.
Yeah.
What do you do, Ismael, as a freelancer?
He
I don't
teaches English.
Okay.
He
So
helping people
do you feel
learn
proud
another language.
of your students when they?
I do.
Do you feel proud when they make a mistake?
No. Well.
Mistake.
Well.
When
No.
they correct a mistake that you
Exactly.
making many times.
Exactly. That is rewarding, and also sometimes I feel like it's also very rewarding to see that they like the way that you teach. So the way that you
That
do your
it,
job,
that it gets you.
Yeah.
That
they
they understand what
they
you're
can
trying to
understand, they learn. Yeah.
We actually talked about it. I don't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, but we were talking about how people can actually help you to, I don't know, maybe giving you that perspective, but maybe you just don't get it from that person, and you
Yeah.
need another person to tell you. Know?
Yes.
Do you remember? I think
You
it
were
was
listening
yesterday.
to me. I was giving a session for students who are learning how to write essays, and I was saying that.
Yeah.
You were listening
Yeah,
to me. He
of
was paying
course.
attention.
I pay attention to her
Sometimes.
sometimes.
Okay. Jose, what do you do? Tell us.
Yeah, what do you do for a living?
I work with servers for call centers,
Oh,
in relation to the technical support,
okay.
project management, and
Okay.
developing new applications.
Okay. So you help people when something is not working.
Yes,
Okay.
I try to help them. But
Okay.
users are terrible.
Yeah, I was thinking of that. Like you can say like, please you have to press this button and this one. What is the button? I don't see it, or something like that, right?
Yes. Yes.
Exactly like that.
So we have someone who works with public.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure he'd
And
rather
I
have
like to send
sleeping
it to
clients.
people on the computer.
Okay, yeah, with computer it's complicated. You have
Yeah.
to understand. You have to be very empathic with those people.
Okay, but continuing with the book,
Yeah.
there's a situation that happens during the office. In the book, they talk about a wall. Okay, so walls are a recurring motif in the story. Bartleby is normally looking at a wall. He mentions the prison wall. So I want to ask you, like from your own point of view, what do you think that these walls are symbolizing?
Yeah. What about the walls? Tell
What
us,
is-
why do you think they mention so many walls?
Maybe is it an obstacle, or is it like a cage that you feel trapped? Yeah, Jose, what do you think?
It means that there is no motivation, no future. There is no way ahead.
It's like the end of the road.
Okay, I didn't see it like that.
Yeah, I had it like that.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that it is the end.
Okay.
I would prefer to say that there is no road.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you find a wall, then how can you just continue?
Yeah, it's a dead end.
It's a dead end. Okay.
For me,
Okay.
yeah, for me it's like an obstacle.
Yeah, an obstacle.
You know, some people graduate from the university and they say, I don't like this major. I don't know what to do. And they start doing nothing for a while.
Yeah. Now that you say that, I'm thinking that when you hit a wall, when you're walking and you hit a wall, it could be the end. Like you can be like, I cannot continue anymore. Or you can turn. You can
Look for another way.
change the direction. So imagine you graduate.
Yeah, but if you're walking on the street, you hear a wall, you can
Well, only
like
if you're running very fast. But usually, you die. Walls are usually not dangerous, guys.
Usually.
Okay, Ruby, do you agree? Do you have something else to add? What do you think the wall symbolizes in the book?
It's a difficult question.
Please repeat the question.
No worries, of course. Like, do you agree that walls are something in the book? Like, what do you think they represent?
It's in the presentation.
The wall, the office has no window, yes? This is correct? The walls, the wall street or the walls of the office?
Well, they mentioned the walls of the office. They mentioned, like, looking through the window, you see a wall. And they talk about the walls in prison. So they mention many walls in many parts of the book. So do you think they mean something?
I think it can represent monotony. I don't know.
Okay, that's
That's another meaning.
yeah, I didn't see it that way. And actually, it can make sense because if you're seeing a wall, then maybe you
It
are
doesn't
not.
change.
It is not changing, and
Almost the same thing.
everything is the same. You're not feeling inspired. You're not getting the spark of creativity. Okay.
Ruby was like, did I think about that?
Yeah, she was like, yes.
Obviously, she thought about
She doesn't see walls, she sees numbers. She was connecting the numbers.
Okay, so How did you feel about Bartleby? Because Ismael
Okay,
is
we're going to
he
start
said
with you, Ismael. Yeah.
that
Disgusting.
expresses his feeling.
Look at him. He's just like.
No, honestly.
Okay, so how did you feel about Bartleby? Do you sympathize with him? Did you feel frustrated by his action or something else entirely? What did you feel, Ismael?
I was extremely frustrated with him. I felt like at first I could understand. I would prefer not to do this. I would prefer to stay here, to not move. Okay, I get it. But you're working. It's your job. You're getting paid to do something. Why the heck aren't you doing it?
At the beginning, I was feeling also powerless. Like I was like, how can you just say that? I mean,
Yeah.
and then I asked myself, like, but can I also say that?
True, but it's also
What about him?
It's also, yeah, the problem, obviously the main problem was him and saying that he would not prefer to do anything, basically.
Yeah.
But also, there was a problem with communication with his boss and with everyone around him because they always asked him, would you like to do this? Would you prefer to do this? And I was like,
but they didn't always do that. They were like, do this.
sometimes, yes, true.
So I
Sure.
don't know. What would you have done?
I would have grabbed him and I would have
Okay,
thrown
illegal things going in his mind. Like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked.
He didn't remember the word fire.
No.
No, he didn't remember the word fire.
He was-
He just remembered. No.
Yeah.
So I was more like, how strange, but I don't know. It's very, very difficult to get for me to be mad. So you have to be very, very.
Actually,
He's
no.
a
I have
favorite.
seen you mad
How many times?
like 2.
2 times. In almost 3 years, you have seen me 2 times.
Yeah, I feel so
I'm-
grateful today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm usually. I'm not angry.
You're very easygoing as a
Yeah.
person, I suppose.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Maybe too much.
That's not something we
So-
can discuss here.
I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't that frustrated, but I think I would have called the police before. Like, I'm not going to discuss this with you. Like, get out of my office.
I will actually call a lawyer. Like, if you have a contract with me and maybe I don't want to handle things with you, I will call the lawyer and I will actually, I don't know, like, you just,
Yeah.
you do whatever you have to do.
So, guys, how do you feel about his boss? What do you? he's no one is a super. He's gasping again. So. You guys, how do you feel about the boss? About his boss?
Yeah, I like you. Yeah, Jose?
Yeah, I think he was nicer than expected.
Yes.
Probably because he was a true Christian.
Yeah.
I mean, he used to go to church every Sunday.
It is
So-
strange because he sounded in the audiobook. I listened to the audiobook, and he sounded like a big boss like this, but at the same time, I mean, he was a teddy bear.
Yeah.
He couldn't do anything.
What are your thoughts on the boss, Ismael?
Well, I think
He
he
wanted
was.
to be a good person. So,
Yeah.
so he was asking himself all the time
Yeah.
about if he was being correct what he was doing and trying to find out what the problem was
Yes.
with Bartleby.
He was very pathetic.
But
Yeah.
he forgot to ask to get a psychologist. I don't know if at the time there were psychologists,
Maybe they were, but
for people.
I think everything I know about everything I've heard about psychologists by that time, they were like investigating
Yes.
about psychology, but it wasn't very common like the therapy part.
I think they were experimenting.
So
it was-
psychologists were people that were investigating behavior and stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't think they have the intention or the purpose of psychologists was to help everyday people. I don't know. I think I've never heard of someone going to therapy inviting those down.
Maybe Bartleby needed to go to
Yes.
Well, yes.
Probably.
maybe that will end
But
the book.
he'd rather not to. So I know. Yeah, I think even if he had access to therapy, he wasn't motivated to go.
Maybe he would prefer not to go to therapy.
Yeah, that's his thing. I'm motivated.
What are your thoughts, Maya?
I think I was frustrated with obviously Bartleby. I cannot pronounce it. Bartleby.
But they say Bartleby at the
Audiobook.
Yes.
at the audiobook, but in my head it still sounds like Bartleby.
Me too.
Bartleby.
That's
It
what
sounds
I'm
good.
thinking.
It sounds
Yes, but well,
It's actually a very nice name.
yes, it has a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
I think the boss was very extremely empathetic, like Jose said. He was maybe too much. Maybe he needed to be more firm. And at the end, of course, he tried.
It is straightforward.
Yes, he definitely tried. I wouldn't say that he didn't try because he did. But I think he needed to try more, or maybe stop trying and be like, okay, well, you are going out. I'm not asking you. I'm not telling you.
If you prefer not to,
Yes.
I don't care.
It's okay. I don't care if you prefer not to. I want you to do this, and you will do it because
I
I'm
think
telling
he
you.
was avoiding conflict.
Yes,
Yeah.
He was avoiding, so he
he was a very
tried,
good boss.
did,
He
and
was a very good boss.
but at the end he was like, someone else can do it. not
Yeah.
I."
Losibet, what do you want to share?
Well, I feel frustrated for boss.
Yes.
Okay.
Boss, because the boss never tried to do speak
Remember that you can use Spanish.
Exacto.
Puedes hablar en español.
okay, thank you. The boss never tried to que hablar, speak him. O sea, que él dijera por qué no quería participar. ¿Okay?
Yeah, like to have a conversation with him. He never reasoned.
Yes. I feel frustrated too because Bartleby never expressed why not wants relate with other colleagues for in own boss. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the boss at the end he tries to talk to him, but
He tries, but yeah.
yeah, everything went to waste with
Yes.
Bartleby, I don't know.
Whatever.
Tomatoes.
Tomato, potato.
Exactly.
Okay, now before we go, we have this final question. We have like this prompt, and it says, one way to view the story is that there are people who suffer in ways that others do not understand. And normally this suffering may lead them to behave in ways that others also do not accept. Because I think at the end of the day, we people, as the collective, we try to always be in bonds and to engage in situations knowing that we may be different, but we also have expectations on how people should react or should perceive us or whatever. And most times we are actually not completely in sync.
Yes.
Maybe we are not getting to know completely the other person. Maybe we are too much in our head to actually realize that the other person is having different needs.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, this is also a book that is related to boundaries. You know, like I need to put a boundary here because this affects me this way, and it makes me feel that, and also it triggers me this from the past, and I don't like to be called this way, or I don't like you to talk to me that way. So not only is about people and trying to make a revolution in their job, in their workplace, but also I think it is a very interesting story that is related to that, like to we as the collective are also completely individuals that have needs, and sometimes we are not actually like obligated to give our 100%, not during our workplace, not during our relationships, not during our even our home. Like sometimes today I only have 20% to give you, and that means that if you ask me or give me a direction, I can also be honest to tell you I would prefer not to, but then you have to put the extra word and say today in this moment, can you give me a minute?
Yeah.
You know, like we need to also communicate,
Exactly.
and that what was lacking during the whole book. I think it will be shorter if Bartleby wanted to confess what was happening with him,
Yes.
but he didn't throughout the story. So, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you think that?
So do you think Bartleby could symbolize the silent suffering that many people hide in everyday life?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think yes, because obviously, if he's not an extraterrestrial or something, something was definitely going on inside
Maybe he was
his head.
neurodivergent. You know, maybe he had a very difficult situation at home, and it was affecting him.
What home?
Yeah, what home? I don't know what home.
But
and
I mean, something had to be going on in his mind, and he didn't say it. So the same with him happens, I guess, with a lot of people. It's just that these people are not as like silent as him, but they have a normal life. But maybe there is a part of what's going on in their mind that they do not say. So I guess yeah, it could be representing that part that we do not say. I guess.
what do you
But-
think, Ismael?
No, I was thinking that it's important to try to remember that we do not always, or we usually don't have enough context. Sometimes we do, but
We assume.
we assume
tend to
a lot. And that is a problem because when we want to talk to someone else, or we want to know what they are feeling, etc., or we want to provide advice, we need to know enough context so that we can truly help them. But if we do not have that, we will not understand where they are coming from, and we are not able to help them. That's something that happens. Yeah.
I was about to say something about that he didn't say anything, and see how the book ended.
Yeah, exactly.
See how the book ended.
He was in prison, right? That's what I understood.
So they both represent a complete compassion.
Compassion, maybe.
Yeah, the help and the tools that we have to.
That surround us, but sometimes we don't want to engage with them.
Yeah, sometimes we have all the tools and all the support and all the people
But we don't
wanting
want to leave the void.
Yes.
but we do not use them. And no, I wasn't talking about the jail, but at the end of the book, he was like that. He didn't say anything, and he was like that. Why are you surprised?
I did read it, but I don't remember that.
Well, he was lying in the grass, and he didn't move.
He was dead.
Okay. And so while he processed the information and the spoiler that
It's
Diana
not a
has.
spoiler. He already read the book. He said he read the book.
Yeah, but people is going to see this later.
Well,
Okay, I want to know if any of you want to share your final thoughts on the book. I know it is also our first time reading this author, and I don't know, I feel more intrigued now to read Moby Dick. I don't know if I'm going to do it like later this week, later this month, but definitely maybe.
Do you know how I love this?
Yeah, but that's why I want to start early. so I
Okay,
can
let's start
finish.
this week.
Yeah. But I don't know if I'm going to do it soon. I just know that maybe it will definitely go in my to be read list. Because at the end of the day, I actually find something inspiring in the Herman Melville's way of, I don't know, writing, and it really connected with me somehow. And even though he uses many words that I had to found and to search and translate it, there were so many words.
Did you have to search for new words with this book? Because I found many that I didn't understand,
Yeah.
especially short words like err, E-R-R.
Yes.
It's like, is that a word? Isn't that like an expression or like a pirate thing?
I feel frustrated. I don't understand so many words. Yeah, I always say I am A2, but when I read this book, I say I don't know anything about English.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
English.
yeah, for me too. And I have
Yeah,
been
maybe
reading.
with Agatha Christie too.
Yeah, I have read so many books in English, and every single time it's like, when am I actually going to understand a complete paragraph? I don't know.
I think we have had easier books when we find a foreign book translated to English. Because, for example, The Little Prince was easy to read, of course, that is for children. But the last book, The Death of Ivan Ilyich, it was in Russian.
Yeah,
It was Russian and translated to English.
It was
And
very
I
easy
think
to read, actually.
when
Quite
you-
nice too.
But that book was most easy to
Yeah.
it was easier.
Yeah.
I think because when you translate it, you do not use those complicated words. I think that's a theory we're going to look for. But we wanted to read American authors because of two reasons. First, because we are education USA, so we are pro US. And the second reason is because here in the CVA we have these events that are monthly about an American author. So if you wanna come, for example, the Death of Ivan Ilyich by Kovich, what was his name?
Ivan Ilyich, and the other one, Fyodor.
Okay, yes. So he was one of these.
No, Tolstoy. It was Tolstoy. Fyodor was the other of White Knights.
Okay, it was by Tolstoy. So you, yeah, I was thinking of the Russian that wasn't one of the American author. The American author we
on
had
Wednesday
was
we
that.
had Scott Fitzgerald, and we actually read
Yeah.
one of his books last month. It was The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and they actually discussed here in the library of the Centro Venezolano Americano all about his career, and it was a very interesting evening. It's completely free, so we actually invite you guys to participate if you want to get to know more about a specific
Go to the
author.
Instagram.
You can always check the information in our social media. We always publish the calendar of the future events. And also, speaking of future events, we want to give you now, and before we go, the name of the next
28th
reading.
of May.
Yeah.
Scott
I'm
Fitzgerald.
anxious. The next reading is My Mortal Enemy by William Calder. And this book is
It's a novel.
it's a novel. It's
It should be
also
easier.
very short. It should be interesting, maybe like watching a
It has
novela.
many characters.
It has many characters.
And it's like a novela, so it's like gossiping.
Yeah, we're going to chismear basically.
Yeah. In
So,
English.
In English. Basically, My Mortal Enemy tells the story of the protagonist, which is Myra Henshaway. She's a woman that sacrificed her inheritance for love. And
Would
the
you
book,
do that?
yeah.
Well, it
We'll
depends
see.
on the
We'll
how
see.
much
We'll
the
see.
amount.
Yeah.
But basically, it is narrated by another person, so we are actually reading a book in the third person. And well, she grows, she ages, she falls ill, and the story evolves. So we are going to be publishing the book later in the week. We are also be sharing the PDF version during the Telegram group. And as always, we are going to see each other again and at the end of the next month. If you have a question, if you have something else to say, you can also always address us to the.
And invite your friends to read books in English.
You can also participate with friends. This is completely free. And you can always address us through email. And you have the email of biblioteca at centrovenezolanoamericano.org and caracas.cva@educationusa.org.
If you haven't subscribed to the library, please do, because we send the books in PDF, but the audiobooks are another experience of they're great. You can be driving and listening, or you can be in the bus. I love being in the bus and listening to the audiobooks, so I do many things at the same time.
And it's something that it only takes a moment a day, so you can continue practicing, and you can also have a moment with yourself. I find reading books
is
that,
your imagination and out of social media.
yeah, I always find reading books not only a time for me to practice, but to get in touch with myself and to also nurture my wisdom, to say something, because I end up having new perspective
And new
also-
phrases to use.
and new phrases to
I'd
use,
rather
like
not.
who is
I
me?
prefer not.
Who is me?
Who is me? I like
That was a
that
good
one.
one.
Yeah, that is from Agatha Christie. Who is me? Yeah, it is
So-
como Rey León.
Yeah. So guys, thank you so much again for being here today. Thank you, Isma, for always being present with us here at his live. Gracias por participar. Esperamos que les haya gustado este libro y también esperamos que les pueda gustar el siguiente. Si tienen también sugerencias de libros o lecturas que quieran hacer, siempre nos las pueden enviar y con gusto nosotros conversaremos aquí en la biblioteca a ver qué podemos hacer.
Yes, Rosita, you were saying something?
No, solo darle las gracias. Gracias por todo.
A
Y por la paciencia.
conectarse.
How do you say English? Gracias a ustedes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's very easy. English is a very easy language.
That's it.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.